All right. Thank you so much, Tanja. And welcome everyone to Open Collaborations for Social Justice. We're so thrilled you decided to join us this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are, to hear from these amazing open education leaders that are joining our panel this morning. Very quickly, I'm Una Daly from the Community College Consortium for OER, and I'm here with four amazing colleagues. Dr. Shinta Hernandez from Montgomery College, Dr. Alisa Cooper from Glendale Community College in Arizona, Dr. Elizabeth Rodriguez from Laredo College, and Cindy Domaika from Nicolet College in Wisconsin. And you're going to hear from them in just a moment. I want to kind of whip through this just a little quickly so that we can really hear from our panelists this morning. So we are going to be talking about how social justice is incorporated into their open education programs and what that means to them. And the stories are going to vary from OER adoption triumphing over automatic billing, automatic textbook billing, the adoption of an anti-racist teaching guide, to empowering students to engage in knowledge co-creation and community-based leadership. So it's going to be just some amazing stories from all of our speakers here. And also we're going to talk a little bit about necessary supports for carrying this on. But we also want to hear from you. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the Community College Consortium for OER, we're a community of practice. We've been doing this for over 16 years, supporting and encouraging colleges in the collaborative development of open ed programs to ensure equitable access and success. And once again, we're very glad you joined us. So the learning outcomes, we hope that when you leave here, you can be able to recount some wonderful examples of social justice in open education and how it can help particularly marginalized student groups. We're going to introduce the Lambert Social Justice Framework, which you might use to assess and enhance your open education programs to deepen that social justice aspect and gain a greater understanding of the key supports necessary to build socially just educational institutions. So I hope that that's what you came for. And without further ado, I'm going to now ask my panelists, and they're one by one, they're going to introduce themselves and their institution, share what motivated them and their organizations to get involved with open education. And now I would like to turn it over to Dr. Shinta Hernandez.
Thank you so much, Una, and thank you everybody for being here and being a part of our session. So my name is Dr. Shinta Hernandez. I am the Dean of the Virtual Campus at Montgomery College in the state of Maryland. I am also the president of the CCC OER Executive Council, and I'm also now the director of the Maryland Online Leadership Development Institute. Maryland Online is a member of CCC OER. And so to answer Una's question about what got me and our institution motivated, I think the best way to answer that question is to just share briefly what Montgomery College is. Just so that you are aware, Montgomery College is the largest community college in the state of Maryland. And also a couple of years ago, we were recently ranked as the most diverse community college in the continental United States. So just by way of our great diversity, we recognize the importance of understanding all of our student populations. We have about 43,000 students annually coming from about 155 countries. So for us, it was critical, vital, in fact, to ensure that we create an equitable, inclusive environment in the classroom through our pedagogy. And so it was, and so that really was the genesis of why we were and continue to be committed in our open education work. And then later on in the panel session, I'll talk about the evolution of our open pedagogy work and how it started off with textbook affordability and now to professional development opportunities for our faculty to better enhance their teaching strategies and learning environments in the classroom. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Una.
Hi.
Thank you, Shinta. I would now like to turn it over to Dr. Alisa Cooper to tell us about how she and her institution got started and what motivated them and brought them to this work. Alisa, I think, can other people hear Alisa? Because I can't. Still not able to hear you, Alisa. I know we were hearing you earlier. Well, Alisa, how about if we let you work on that for a minute and we will move on to Dr. Elizabeth Rodriguez, who will tell us about how they got started.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining our session. My name is Elizabeth Rodriguez. I'm the Dean of Academic Innovation and Technology here at Laredo College. And part of my role is to oversee multiple departments and different initiatives here on campus. And what got Laredo College started on OER, it kind of just crept up on us, really, because I had been educating myself on OER. I was part of several committees with the Texas Coordinating Board, and I would hear a lot about OER and how they were looking to implement that across the state of Texas. During that time, I got the opportunity to oversee what was at the time the all-inclusive program here at Laredo College, which was, the textbooks at a reduced cost. During my time of overseeing this program, I saw a lot of different problems with the program and a lot of problems with student access, being able to access the course content on day one. Faculty were also having issues with accessing the content. And that gave me the opportunity to start talking about OER on campus. I immediately put together a task force, a group of faculty, instructional designers, librarians, and we started to get ourselves ready because the recommendation from our group was going to be that we needed to move away from all-inclusive and start moving towards OER. And so that's how we got started. During the rest of the session, I'll dive more into how we've accomplished this work, where we're at now, and where we're headed. Thank you.
All right, can you hear me now, Una?
Yes, and thank you, Elizabeth. And yes, we can hear you perfectly, Alisa. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Sorry about that. So I am Alisa Cooper, and I started in the Maricopa Millions project with a colleague of mine, Lisa Young, who we like to claim as the initiator of the Maricopa Millions project. And I believe, I was trying to look it up, that it started about 10 years ago in 2013. And we are in a district where we're one of the largest community college districts, Maricopa, and I teach at one of the 10 colleges. And so we felt that there was a need to do something to help students that struggle with the cost of textbooks. And so they started the Maricopa Millions with the initial goal of saving students $5 million in 5 years. And we surpassed that goal well before the 5-year period. And it's just continued to grow throughout. I'm no longer involved directly with the program. I've sort of passed the torch on. I think Lisa has done the same, but we still keep our hand in the pot a little bit. Una doesn't let me escape, but I'm working on some initiatives with her, a grant, the OFAR grant. And I've also been doing a lot of work with the anti-racist pedagogy. So I think that sort of has drawn me back into the OER realm because it fits in nicely with a lot of the initiatives and goals that colleges have today. So welcome and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Alisa. And yes, Alisa was mentioning that she is one of our coaches for our Open for Anti-Racism program, which we are thrilled to have her. All right. Last but not least, Cindy Domaika, please tell us about your journey with Open.
Thanks, Una, and welcome everybody. My name is Cindy Domaika. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. I am the manager of Open and Inclusive Academics here at Nicolay College. And like most stories, we started out regarding textbook affordability. I spent 15 years as the bookstore manager here at the college. So I fortunately / unfortunately got to see firsthand the struggles that our students went through trying to purchase their textbooks and the decisions that they had to make regarding whether or not to buy books or pay bills. So in 2017, when we got a new president, he had suggested I look into open educational resources, and I fell in love. So you'll hear more a little bit about the journey that I had from that moment on as we proceed forward.
Thank you all for sharing those inspiring stories. And as you can see, coming from different perspectives, right? A staff member who was the bookstore manager, a faculty member, and then our two deans of online. So really diverse perspectives. I wanted to explain very quickly the Sarah Lambert social justice framework, and I wonder if folks are familiar with this. But I'll go through it fairly quickly. And this is a framework that you can use to look and analyze your open education program. And there's three principles. There's the redistributive justice principle, which is essentially providing free textbooks to students who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford those through whatever circumstances those might be. So this is to help them with their student success. Recognitive justice, the second principle, is about opening up your curriculum so that students can see themselves in that curriculum, providing diverse perspectives that reflect the communities that you're serving and those who have been omitted in the past. And finally, the third one is representational justice. And this is about providing opportunities for your students to provide their voices in the class, and whether this is co-construction of OER, it could be in providing time in open discussion for them to share their lived experiences, particularly for those students who may come from marginalized communities. So I hope that is helpful. And so we're going to ask our panelists and you to share a little bit with us about how you see social justice and maybe using this framework. So we're going to, this is a prompt to our audience first, and then we will get back to our panel to have them share. So how do you and your institution define social justice within your open education programs? And we have a Mentimeter, and I am going to stop sharing right now. Liz, thank you for putting that in the chat window, the Mentimeter link that can take you directly, or if you want to use your phone, you can do that and use this code 626-7533. Thanks. All right. Perfect, Liz. And these are meant to be short answer questions. So you don't have to, it's really up to you. Okay, wonderful. So don't have a system yet. Would love to set up a structure. So great. So glad you're with us today to hear from some leaders in this space, including student voices, equitable access and inclusive representation, uplifting marginalized voices. Okay, wonderful. So we have someone here who is using Lambert's 3 Rs already. And looks like some people are still working on this, and we're so glad you joined us, because it's a journey. And even for those who are making progress in this area, we know that there is always more to do. And as we uncover more, and as we work with our students and we listen to them, we'll definitely hear more. So thanks so much for sharing that. Any other thoughts from my panelists before we move on? All right. All right. Thanks, Liz. I think we will go ahead and stop sharing now, and we will go back to next. Of course, I've lost my slides. We will go on to the next question. Hold on, sorry about that. All right, so our next question, which we'll see in just a moment, is I'm going to turn this over to our panelists to tell us about how social justice is featured in your open education work, and how does that align with the Lambert framework. And I'd like to turn that over to Shinta. I'll turn it over to Shinta. I'm sorry, we'll reverse for the next one. But Shinta, can you tell us about how social justice is featured in your work?
Absolutely, Una, and thank you so much for that question. So in addressing that, I'll tie that to the Sarah Lambert framework, as you had asked. I think when I mentioned in my introduction, our initial efforts began really when we were focusing on textbook affordability. And so that we received an Achieving the Dream grant several years ago that allowed us to create an infrastructure called MC Open that has been pivotal in terms of providing the resources necessary for faculty to develop and deliver what we are calling Z courses, zero cost textbook courses. And so that aligns very nicely with the redistributive justice, in which we are providing accessible materials and making sure that they are affordable, because these courses do not require students to pay for course materials. And so one thing I'd love to share in that same example is that our latest enrollment data have shown really great numbers. We've got this fall 23 semester record enrollments, student enrollments, at over 12,700 students. So it's just been growing. And so we're very pleased to see that at Montgomery College. And in fact, we looked up our data and we saw that we have 309 unique instructors who are teaching Z courses. And so that, I think, is a great example of redistributive justice playing out at Montgomery College as far as offering these Z courses go. The other part of the framework that I'd like to illustrate for you all is our professional development opportunities. And so with recognitive justice and representational, what we see examples of that would be our fellowships. So one example, a couple of years ago, we received an internal grant that allowed us to launch what we called Social Justice Ambassadors Program. And that allowed faculty to pair up with students in their classes so that their students can become co-creators with them. And in these conversations, in this pairing and teamwork that they engaged in, they really took a really hard look at and reflected on their traditional methods of teaching, their traditional course materials that they were assigning, and truly just having the students take part in what would it look like if we improved on representation, if we enhanced and provided a more inclusive classroom environment. So students were creating with the faculty member syllabus, group assignments, even some of the course materials. So there were student voices were certainly incorporated into that. And then since then, we've been through the Office of Elite, E-Learning, Innovation, and Teaching Excellence, which is our professional development hub at Montgomery College. We provided workshops. And one of the workshops I want to mention to you here is it's called Co-Create with Me, inviting students to collaborate and innovate. And that ties or intersects open pedagogy with decolonizing the curriculum. These workshops challenge faculty to think differently about their traditional ways of doing, their traditional ways of thinking, and student voices are incorporated intentionally. Their experiences are brought to the conversations and to the work, and students are asked to contribute to the curriculum redevelopment and the assessment creation. And in these workshops, examples are shared with the faculty participants on what does this look like? What does co-creation and a partnership look like in practice? And so I'm gonna, and we also have another fellowship. Thank you so much, Liz, for putting that in. We have fellowship that is award-winning, received the Open Education Global Award a couple of years ago, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Open Pedagogy Fellowship. And my co-founder is here in this room, I believe, Dr. Michael Mills, also from Montgomery College. And this fellowship is in its 6th year. And what's unique about it is that we pair our faculty participants or fellows with other faculty from a different institution in a different discipline. And in 6 years, we have grown to 12 partners across North America and Asia. And we have just are pleased to see how faculty have embraced this unique opportunity and journey with us. And we are always open to potential partners who wish to be a part of this international collaboration for social justice. And so I think by the examples I provided here at Montgomery College, they are very much aligned, we believe, to the Sarah Lambert framework and those 3 different types of justice. So back to you, Una.
Thank you so much, Shinta. Those were wonderful examples. And yes, we are going to move. I'm sorry, I'm going just by your order on the screen right now. I'm going to go on to Alisa Cooper to tell us about their work at Maricopa District and Glendale.
I was hoping you wouldn't call me to go after Shinta. That was just so amazing. But like I mentioned earlier, being in Maricopa, we are a district of 10 colleges. So the good thing about Maricopa is that they do provide the leadership at that district level, but then it's really left up to individual colleges to sort of find their own path. And if we were to look and talk about social justice within our college, it doesn't come up, the term social justice, but we do have all of these elements that are there. And whether or not those elements are connecting to each other, that's yet to be seen. And that is, in 2021, along with the rest of the country, we all started our DEI efforts. We have a DEI director, a committee, and they work on various things. And we have an OER committee, and they offering opportunities for faculty and support and professional development. And a lot of those efforts are supported from the district office. I'll talk about what those efforts are in a second. But the point I'm trying to make is that we then have individual efforts at our CTLE, our CTLs that are offering workshops on online course design, making your courses equitable using the Peralta rubric. So we have another element that's out there doing things to support social justice. But in my opinion, I don't feel as if we do a really good job of tying all of those things together. And so in my role, as I mentioned this before, I'm the e-courses faculty lead at our college, trying to help support online faculty and online courses and so forth. One of the things that we're doing now is really focusing on the RSI aspect that's kind of caught everybody off guard, the regular and substantive interaction. And in part of that is integrating a lot of these elements that we're talking about, these equity elements, with trying to make sure that students are represented in the courses that they're taking, and making sure the resources that we're providing are affordable. And so there yet is another aspect of social justice that's happening on our campus. What I would love to see is Shinta was talking about, sort of a more cohesive effort where all of these elements are actually speaking and talking to each other. But one of the things that we do well is the OER piece, and we do support that at the level each semester. I think it's a semester, it might be a year. They have a call for proposals where they will fund faculty projects to create OER projects. They are using, and I'm not really familiar with it, but they're using the CARE framework, which is pretty similar to what we're talking about today. And there's funding, available depending on, how many people are involved, whether you have full-time and adjuncts, and what the course is. We want to fund courses that are more of the general, larger enrollment courses, things like that. But the resources are provided for them. There's training. We teach them about Creative Commons, and we also have the Maricopa, we call it Maricopa Open Digital Press, where we're using the press books to help faculty create their own textbooks that they can then integrate LMS into Canvas and so forth. So I think that part of it is really good. I think that the support that we get with our CTLs, if the faculty member really wants to make changes. But I think the outreach needs to be better in terms of recruiting people and saying, let's all take this, let's all send our courses through the Peralta rubric. Let's all get our courses reviewed using the rubric. All of these things can help show faculty how to fit in a lot of these social justice elements. That is all I have for you.
Well, that was plenty. Thank you, Alisa. And I love that you also brought in accessibility and the principles of universal design for learning that is around engagement of our students. And that's aligns very well with the Lambert framework. All right. Dr. Elizabeth Rodriguez, would you like to go next?
Sure, thank you so much. So some of the work that we've been doing, like I mentioned in my opening statement, we're still at the beginning process, but I think the work that we're already doing does align, very nicely with the Sarah Lambert framework. And so some of the work that we've been able to do, we kind of catapulted, right? We started with the all-inclusive, that wasn't working very well. At the same time, I, put together my OER task force just so that we would be ready in case, a directive came from, from our administration that we needed to move towards OER. And that's exactly what happened. And so a directive has already been given to our institution that we need to move towards 100% OER. And so putting together this task force prepared us for that. And so what we're doing now is we have through our Center of Teaching Excellence and Learning, which is a center that I oversee, I have a group of faculty, instructional designers and librarians that are working with individual departments to identify coursework, to identify resources, and to educate our faculty on the process of moving towards what they were doing previously to OER. Part of the work that we're doing, we were able to get a grant through the Texas Coordinating Board. And with that money, we were able to focus on one specific course. And we redesigned that course. Just in this past 8 weeks, we just presented to our board of trustees and we looked at the numbers to see how much up to this point with just one course for the first 8 weeks, our students are already saving $47,000, right? And that's not to say of all the other courses that we currently have that are OER at this point. But the other really big thing that we've done in order to create that equity across our students is we're now identifying courses through our banner system. So when students are going to register for a course, they'll be able to see what course is zero cost textbook. And so that was big for us because that's something that we had been working with and we were finally able to accomplish that. And so that gives students the opportunity to be able to see, because even though the mandate has already been given that we need to move towards OER, we're not doing it like tomorrow, right? We were given a timeline and the team is working diligently to get that timeline, to ensure that we meet that timeline. But in the meantime, we want to ensure that students who are registering for courses here at Loreto College, that they're able to see which courses are zero cost textbooks, right? And so that was huge for us because we were able to bring in other folks from the institution and start talking about OER. I think the other big thing is ensuring that the communication between departments is open, right? Here we are talking about open educational resources, but having those conversations, which have not been easy conversations to have with some of our faculty who've been doing things a certain way for so long. And so trying to educate them on the importance of OER on from courses with open educational resources. The other thing that did I freeze?
You're fine. You're fine now.
Okay. Okay, because things are frozen a little bit on my end. Part of the work that we are doing with the grant is also bringing in students into the conversation, right? Ensuring that students have an opportunity to review the courses, to review the course content, and really hear what they have to say about that. And so we're really excited. That's actually our second phase of the grant. We're going to start doing that work in the spring, but we're really excited because we're going to be able to have an opportunity to not only talk to students from Laredo College, but we're also going to bring in students from outside of our institution. And so also giving faculty that opportunity to work alongside students and to really give students that opportunity, that voice that is so important. I think that's going to catapult the work that we're doing. And I'm really excited to see how that's going to turn out because again, the work that we're doing at the end of the day, our goal is to ensure that our students are successful when they come to Laredo College and that we're able to reduce any barriers that they have to take the courses here at Laredo College. And I think by moving towards OER and we've advanced so quickly and it kind of throws me back sometimes when I start thinking about how far we've come in such a little amount of time. But I think the work that we're doing is so important and it's going to put Laredo College at another level. It's going to put us there with other institutions that have been doing this work for so many years, right? So I'm excited about what we're doing. I'm excited about the team that I have. The team that I have is so passionate about this work as well. And I think that's critical. And that's critical when you're putting together your task force is that you get people that truly believe in the mission of OER. And so again, I'm excited about the work we're doing. We're kind of in the infancy stage, but in a really advanced way. But again, I'm excited about the work that we're doing. And I think it all aligns with social justice and what truly open is all about.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And yes, I think we often see that folks who start a little bit later can leapfrog because you do have the benefit of learning from others and connecting with others in community. So congratulations to you and Laredo College. And Cindy Domaika, tell us about social justice at Nicolet and perhaps more widely in the Wisconsin Technical College system.
Thanks, Una. So when I looked at the social justice framework by Lambert, it was very parallel to my own journeys, both in open and, in open and in our DEI work, from starting with one place and moving through. When we, as I said in my opening, when we started with OER, it was primarily about textbook affordability, but thanks to the wonderful open community over several years, I learned how it could be expanded. And now we've kind of flipped the script. We have decided that OER is not on its own. It should actually be used as a tool to help promote social justice. That is just one tool in the toolbox of things that we can use. So we're kind of going off of that premise now. And then I'm also really recognizing that same with open and DEI, we all are on our own journeys. All of my faculty are on their own journeys, and I need to meet them where they are. So we still have, we have faculty that want nothing to do with it. That's typical. But then we also have faculty that are in all of the stages of the framework, from just adopting the OER to then adapting it to then actually getting in student voices. And the one thing that's amazing is this last year, our governor had signed into effect $3 million for OER to be distributed throughout the schools. So Nicolet gets a small piece of that, and we can kind of distribute that in both ways, starting from like a small mini grant for the actual adoption. But now we're actually getting faculty who are moving into those two other phases where they're going to actually be adapting the works that they've either adopted before or that they're going to be finding in the future. So we're really excited to start that phase of it. Along with it, we have implemented an OER 101 course, but not just OER 101 course. We took the materials from the Open for Anti-Racism program, and we embedded that into our OER 101 course so that when our faculty and staff are learning about OER, they're also learning about the different social justice aspects that could go along with it. So now we're working individually with some who have been actually creating textbooks with their students. Their students have been submitting work. We're working on a Native American art open textbook right now, where our students are working with a Native American art instructor, and they're submitting their final projects into Pressbooks. So we're really excited about that. And we've really learned a lot through this multi-phase approach that we really do need to take each faculty where they are and then work with them on their own journeys through open and progress through social justice. So thanks, Una.
Thank you, Cindy. All right. Oh, and you got a question in the chat window there, Cindy.
Okay, we have DEI trainings. We're using the Open for Anti-Racism, which is out on Canvas, which we kind of moderated and put into our D2L. And then we're also doing campus-wide DEI trainings. We've partnered with Kathy O'Bear, and she's helping us move along that journey.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Cindy. I'm going to go back to the slides for just a moment, because I do want to invite all of our attendees to, I hope you can see that. I want to invite all our attendees to, it's taken a minute there, to share how your open education work aligns with the Lambert framework. And we have a set of Jamboards here, and I posted that in the chat window. And I thank you to the MIT OpenCourseWare folks who have posted their information in there. We're going to move on to the next question for my panelists, but please do use the Jamboards. You can click through them. The first one just repeats the framework for you, just in case this might be the first time you're seeing it. And then page 1, 2, and 3 are the different examples that we would like you to share based on the 3 principles. I hope that's clear, and clear as mud, as they say. And sort of our last question for our panelists is, what institutional supports are needed to grow and sustain the work? And finally, what keeps you motivated to do this work as challenges arise? Because, it's one thing for a provost to say, we're all moving to OER. But of course, there's supports that are needed for the faculty and staff who support that work. And then you personally, what keeps you motivated when challenges come up? And we know that that's a part of this. It's a part of life. And Cindy, how about if I start with you this time?
Sure. So my institution has been wonderful throughout this entire journey. We've got the infrastructure that we need to do a lot of this with the Pressbooks and H5P and things like that, but also just the support from leadership that this is important really goes a long way. And then we also they helped us produce what I'm calling like our faculty champions, who, let's face it, faculty listen to faculty before they listen to me, which is fine. But they've really helped me be able to grow our faculty champions. What keeps me motivated is honestly our students and hearing the feedback from them when they say that they're excited to actually have seen themselves in a book, or they're contributing to a book, or that they wouldn't have been able to do something if it wasn't for the free textbook. So really the motivation comes from our students, and just hearing them be thankful that they're able to continue their journey in education, and that they're seeing themselves more, which is exciting.
Thank you, Cindy. Elizabeth, how about if we ask you to share?
So the support we've gotten here at the institution from our administration, starting from our board of trustees to our president, to our provost, the rest of the VPs and the academic deans, everybody really has shown a tremendous amount of support and of excitement. I think that also is part of the motivation, right? They're excited about the work that we're doing. Yeah, there's some difficult conversations that we're having with faculty, because faculty, I mean, we've got faculty who've been here for 30, 40, 50 years who've been doing things a certain way, and getting them to understand something different, something new. Those conversations are not easy, but we're having those conversations because this is the direction that we need to go, right? And again, we're moving towards this direction because this is the best thing for our students. What keeps me motivated, I think, I would love to say it's the students, but we're so early in that work that perhaps if I'm invited to speak again in a year from now, that would be my number one motivation, right? Of course, the motivation to do it is our students, right? But what keeps me motivated when I have to face all these challenges and have these difficult conversations is the group of folks, my OER task force, right? Because we're going through this together. We're facing these challenges together. We believe in the work. We believe in the greater good, right? And because we feel, and it's been proven that moving towards this direction is what's most beneficial for our students. And it's like what I tell my staff and my faculty on a regular basis. If we forget the reason why we're here, then perhaps we're in the wrong line of work, right? The reason that we're here is for our students and to ensure that we do everything in our power to help our students succeed. And part of that is the work that comes from OER, right? So that's what keeps me motivated when we have challenges, and we have daily challenges. I was coming back from Houston on Friday, and my lead faculty from that is leading this effort with our faculty called me, and he had some very difficult conversations with some of our faculty who, don't want to move towards this direction. And so we keep each other motivated, right? We have to, right? Because I think at the end, again, this is for the greater good. It's not for me. It's not for our faculty. It's for our students, and that's what keeps us moving forward.
Thank you for that, Elizabeth. And of course, our community, as the wonderful opening keynote about building community, we keep each other motivated with our eyes on students. So thank you. Alisa.
Yeah, so I think for me, we definitely have the support. OER there on our campus in our district. We have the librarians that are involved. You can fill out a form to get support from that aspect of it. You can get paid to develop OER. We have, the resources, the tools that are available. We have the press books. We even have course codes that, make it easy for students to locate OER courses and enroll in them. But for me, we've been doing OER for so long, it's almost like it's just there. And what's new and what's really driving me and motivating is the push for this inclusion, that the sense of belonging that we want for students, and OER helps us do that. And so to see students or to see faculty designing classes now with that in mind, and changing the way that they teach to be more inclusive to their students, and what they teach and what students see, that's all that's really exciting to me. And it's difficult to do that if we don't have OER available. So that's kind of the motivator for me to keep going. And I try to step back and say it's time for me to retire and let the young people do the work. And I just keep falling into it. These great projects pop up, and oh, I want to be involved with that. Or someone will ask presentation like today, and I'm like, yeah, I want to talk about that. So that's what motivates me to keep going, is that if I can share what I'm doing and what we're doing on my campus, that maybe others will feel motivated to pick up the charge and do the same on their campuses.
Thank you, Alisa. I definitely feel you've motivated folks today. All right, Shinta. Now your turn.
Yeah, thank you, Una. I'm gonna concur with my panelist colleagues here who stated that their institution, their leadership is in full support of the open education work. And that is so critical, it's so vital for the advancement, growth, and the sustainability of an institution-wide effort like this. So at Montgomery College, we certainly feel it, we see it, we hear it from our senior administration, their support in this work. We see it with the Board of Trustees, also their support in this work. And when it is discussed in large meetings, college-wide meetings, it really warms my heart to know that there are people at these levels who really understand the importance of open education, specifically at Montgomery College. When I first introduced to you what Montgomery College is and how diverse we are, we really do embrace that by way of these inclusive pedagogies and open education. And that collaboration that Alisa talked about, that's also very critical and vital to the sustainability of the work, because we all need to be able to see ourselves in the work in order for the work to be truly effective. And so that collaboration includes the librarians, the instructional designers, other staff members, our students as well. And so just I mentioned earlier about one of our fellowships, our students are formally a part of the work in addition to other constituent groups that we have at the college. And when we celebrate Open Education Week in early March, we engage our students on all of our campuses in our outreach efforts. So that's really wonderful to see that. And then what keeps me motivated to do this work is again, the students, right? Because I think that's why we're all in this industry, is to see the impact that this type of work can make or have on our students. And then when I look at the data, as I pointed out earlier in the panel presentation, to see the rise in the growth of student enrollments, to see the growth in sections of Z courses, to see the rise in the number of unique faculty who are teaching these Z courses, that's what keeps me motivated. And that's what I think keeps all of us at Montgomery College moving forward, and just wanting to continue growing and advancing, enhancing, and again, sustaining the work at the college. So with that, Una, back to you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for sharing that. This is the end of our formal panel. And just a little call out to CCCOER if you want to hear from amazing speakers like this. Again, we highly recommend that you join our community email. I think it's at the bottom there. And you'll hear from folks like this, and you'll be able to ask questions of them as well, and continue this great dialogue. So at this point, I want to go over to our Jam boards. Get out of that and see what people had to say about and Liz, do you want to share what people had to say on the Jam boards? Liz Yada is our communities manager from CCCOER and created these Jam boards for us. Well, I'd be happy to also share. It looks like we still had mostly the MIT OpenCourseWare folks sharing about their programs. Do you want to unmute yourself and speak up? I'm not sure who contributed that. I don't know if Sarah's here or one of her colleagues from the MIT OpenCourseWare.
Hi, Una et al. It's Kurt Newton.
Oh, Kurt. Hi, Kurt.
Great presentation. Really loved hearing what's going on in everyone's space there. Yeah, I just dropped a couple of examples that occurred to me when I think about the work that we've been doing around the Lambert framing. I mean, in some ways, it almost feels like everything we do in sharing OER has a kind of redistributive justice quality to it. But I wanted to lift up in particular, a thing that we've been doing for many years to support, in particular, institutions in the global South for whom, like, high bandwidth internet connectivity is a challenge, not reliable. That shipping our stuff, put it all on a hard drive and ship it out there. We got over 440 of those sites installed around the world, and we know it's been a really powerful force for putting open education materials in the hands of people who wouldn't necessarily be able to have such ready access to it. And then the other one, just to link to results from our search box for how much quote social justice is in there. I was curious to see what would pop up. So
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that, a really global perspective for sharing these materials beyond just, sort of the borders of North America. And let's see, and and indeed, you were the only one who volunteered for the second one as well. It was that looks like would you like to explain that one, Kurt?
Yeah, I was starting to there. I think social justice can be a very broad set of things, an umbrella. So I took that search term, social justice, and what hits on kind of the course level. And, 95 out of our roughly 2,500 things hit on social justice. And I was, glad to see, certainly, in the sort of top 10 results there were definitely things that I would hold up as good examples of at least how social justice is being taught at MIT and through our program. Thrilled to be able to share that with the world. So so many different academic disciplines represented under that umbrella.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Kurt. And please feel free to put that link in the chat window if people might want to. And thank you, Rajiv, for joining us as well. The keynote from this morning dropped by to say community colleges lead the way, and we all know that, but it's good to hear it from someone like Rajiv. So thank you. Anyone else like to share at this point? Somebody shared in recognitive justice, linguistics, and would
that was me. Hi. Oh, my video's covered. Hi, that was me. Yeah, so I was thank you. I was part of a co-authorship team that worked on this Essentials of Linguistics second edition. And we have an entire chapter dedicated to interviews with it's chapter 9. Here's the link to the book. Dedicated to interviews with Indigenous language activists talking about Indigenous language reclamation. And this is for an introductory linguistics textbook.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we want to just make it open for anyone who would like to ask questions of our amazing panelists today. We will be sharing the slides with you later. Actually, maybe Liz can share the slides with you in the chat window. We do have the email addresses of these wonderful panelists, and they agreed that they would share their contact information. So let's see. I'm not seeing all our participants. So please feel free to unmute yourself and just ask questions at this point. I know that Tanja has let me know we've got a couple minutes left, and the recording will be stopped, but we are here. Kurt has another question. Okay, go for it, Kurt.
Yeah, I'd love to just ask a question, which is, how are people feeling about flying the flag of social justice given what's going on in the world these days? I certainly feel enthusiastically in support of doing everything we can, but I'd be just curious to hear any reflections on how people are navigating that in your particular communities and contexts.
Thank you for the question, Kurt. And I wonder if any of our panelists would like to.
Yeah, I was just doing a workshop or a presentation yesterday on anti-racist pedagogy in the classroom, and I think there's a lot of apprehension because now some pushback, not necessarily from students, but just community. So whenever the community, whoever that is, decides or hears about what's going on, they only see what they want to see, what that term means, whether it be pedagogy or social justice, it always seems in their mind to be an attack. So I think that if the more we talk about what it means, I think the message is going to be heard, as opposed to, I mean, it's the same thing that they started attacking, oh, I forgot the term, just lost my mind, but when they started saying, no, we don't want this to be taught in our elementary schools, but yet it was a college course. Brain just right there for a second. But I mean, I think as we start to learn more about what that class was and what is being taught and who the audience was, people started to say, oh, well,